Drink it in, man.
Touchdown, Detroit Lions! Cornbread!
Drink it in, man.
Detroit Kool-Aid, what is going on, everybody? We are back, and we are recording this Friday morning, and I got Grifka here. Grifka, what's going on?
Hey, man, just getting ready for this big game on Sunday. Division game, first one of the year. First Packers.
Oh, man, it is crazy to think that it's, first division game. It's been a struggle through the first quarter, but I'm excited to see what's going to happen in this game because the Packers have always been tough, but in certain ways, which I'm sure we'll get into, it feels like a little bit of a coin flip, and, man, I'd sure love to win it, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, this is definitely big for us. Before we touch on the game and we start, breaking it down, thinking, talking about how we feel about it, a couple things I just want to touch base with on. I read earlier this week that Ziggy's actually back at practice now. Think he's going to play this weekend, or is this just kind of one of those let's see where he's at, game time decision type things?
Well, I was real happy to hear that he is back on the practice field a bit. I mean, you never know, when you just hear he practiced once or twice, it really depends on leading up to game day what happens. But I said it multiple times on this show, man. He has struggled with injuries. He's highly paid, but I think he's highly physically talented, and he seems to produce when he is out there and when he, is at full steam. So I really hope he gets out there. If I had to predict it today, I would think that maybe if he stacks a few practices on, he's a game time, and then maybe if he doesn't play this Sunday, it could still lead into some good things coming off the bye week, because I don't want this guy to miss the whole season, and I definitely don't want him to just miss multiple games in the second half of this year when we're struggling and he's collecting that big paycheck. So, Ziggy, get it together, get back, start putting some sacks on so somebody else can pay you a whole lot of money.
Yeah, we
sure aren't.
Yeah, we definitely need him on the field, especially with this game coming up against the bird under the Lions saddle, Aaron Rodgers. Saw a couple other things this week. Once again, TJ Lang, going through concussion protocol. We all saw him walking off the field with obvious wobbly and help from two people on Sunday. With that being said, it looks like the Lions also brought back was the offensive lineman that they cut last weekend. Was it Donald? Tackle, so he's back. What do you think this offensive line will be if T.J. Lang is out for this weekend and the coming next few weeks?
Grifka, I'm super torn on this one because I feel like T.J. Lang at this point in his career is kind of a glue guy. He's a guy that you love him in the locker room. You love him like just his meat and potatoes type of attitude and be able to keep that whole line together. But I don't know that he's a dynamic player, at his right guard position anymore with all these injuries and some of his physical limitations. I mean, I love his attitude. I love his ability. And when he's out there, I feel like all five of them are better off and we work better together. But I don't think he's moving people, the way that a dominant guard would be. I think he's making $10 million a year. It's a lot for a guard. You got to have an absolute dominant player, not only in the run and the pass game there. So I'm really worried for his physical well-being, that just if the back's locking up, if he's got 5-6 concussions on his medical record now, to me, that's trending in the wrong direction for, is this guy going to play again? Not only is he going to be productive, but is he going to want to strap it up anymore? Are we going to want him to? Is it going to be almost like a job at best situation where he just, goes away and we just have to kind of go in a whole new direction at that position? Because it did not look good Sunday, and I don't think it's trending good. I think we need him, but I don't like Kenny Wiggins there, and I don't think that we'll get a replacement in the draft or free agency anytime soon. So I really hope he can bounce back, but I'm really not expecting it. So
Yeah, it looks like the way he was walking off the field, this doesn't look like a quick recovery at all. I mean, I'm no expert on concussions at all, but he was a big part of the run game against the Patriots. It seems like I know we talked about this last podcast. Seemed like the run game went down a little bit after he left against the Cowboys, and Wiggins is serviceable at best, but he's not good or great by any stretch of the imagination. So, signing Donald back, obviously that guy's just a stopgap or whatever you want to call him. They're obviously not looking to play this guy. I mean, they cut him and they're just bringing him back probably for the injury to Lang. But other than that, if Lang's out, it's you're going to be hearing for certain on that.
I don't know, Grifka. Like, I still am pretty high on our offensive line in general. I mean, there's been struggles at pretty much every position. I mean, Frank Ragnow has basically been our best guy, but to me, I mean, you lose TJ Lang, you're sort of losing a big cog in that wheel. And, like, I just want this line to be what we paid for, which is really good and dominant and graders in the run game and keeping Stafford clean. I mean, I think some of their numbers could reflect they've been pretty good, but it hasn't felt like that when I watch a game on Sundays. So, TJ Lang, I hope you get better, man. I hope you're all right. I mean, if you can play again, great, but you got to take care of yourself. And it's just sad to see that, man, because I know the week before he was on the Valeni show and had a great attitude. He was really fired up after that New England win, thought they could, do something special. And who knows what happens in that Cowboy game if he plays and if they can run it a bit better. So I think it's a big blow across the board. And like you say, I think he was fired up about where this team was going, and now he might be on the shelf for a while. So we'll see what happens, but it's gonna be a blow for sure.
Yeah. So yeah, that's all I got right now. So let's do this. We got a big game coming up this week. It's the Lions are now I don't know if I'd call this must win yet, but this is a big game, first divisional game. It would go a long way in helping the season for the Lions. Talking about our beloved Green Bay Packers. They have Clay Matthews, out, doing late hits on quarterbacks and finally getting called for it. Aaron Rodgers.
Fabio.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers probably still, crying about getting, breathed on as, somebody goes by him, and he's got the bulky knee, which means refs will be looking to protect him a little more because the Packers will be terrible if he's not on the field. So let's start by breaking this one down. I know, like I said in the past, Aaron Rodgers has really been a thorn in the side of Detroit. We all remember the Hail Mary play where Ziggy Ansah's covering the sideline as opposed to the end zone. We all remember. We all remember Ndamukong Suh. When it was really cold up in Green Bay and stepping backwards and accidentally stepping on, Aaron Rodgers, and then he made it seem like his foot fell off, and everyone's like, is Suh gonna get suspended? So Aaron Rodgers has done plenty of crying against the Lions. So what do you think the Lions need to do this weekend to stop him or at least kind of contain him?
Grifka, I think you set it up great. There's been so many issues with Aaron Rodgers, the crying, the antics, but also his play on the field. This guy cannot frustrate me anymore when I watch him play. His little flick where he flicks the ball off his wrong leg, the little scampers that he does where he gets first downs, like. There's a few players in sports at every different level and every different sport that you just hate, like almost everything they do, no matter how good they are. It's just so frustrating to watch, not only because they're usually beating up on your team, but they're just annoying on every level. He fits that to a T. So to me, the only way to deal with Aaron Rodgers is to battle him, which is, like you say, get after him in the rush game. If you can do a little extra, meaning like getting down towards his legs or kind of pushing him after the play or doing little things here or there to get him off his game. To me, that's really the best you can do. He's going to make his plays. He's going to give his stupid little winks and his little belt signs or whatever he's doing these days. That's just frustrating. But there's nothing this guy does that doesn't annoy me, and there's not much the Lions can do to ever slow him down. So it's not a good combo when the Packers and the Lions play, because I got to watch this guy torch us, and I have to watch all his antics to go along with it.
Yeah, he definitely seems to be pretty smug. That's just his attitude, what I get from him.
Yes.
It's just
It's a good word. Aaron Rodgers is one of the smuggest people of all
Yeah,
time.
he's always like he's like the he seems like the kid, that 5-year-old kid who knocks over the vase and it busts, and like his mom rushes in and he just gives like, I don't know what happened, and he smiles and he gets away with it, stuff like that, or blames it on the dog, or things like that. That's just totally Aaron Rodgers to me. It just seems this guy seems to like have a charmed NFL career. Seems like everything always goes right for him, and then he just smiles after the game. It's just like, oh, I made the play, and it's just, oh, I want to thank God and give it up for my team. It's just like, come on, dude. Let's be real here. I mean, you get the benefit of calls because you're in Green Bay, and you're.
Aaron Rodgers never thanks God. He just thanks himself.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
He thanks himself for everything, but yeah, I mean, you hit it on the head.
So yeah, it's just.
I
I think the biggest thing, the Lions, his knee isn't 100%, so that's been kind of affecting his play so far this year, and I think that's going to have to be one of the things that the Lions at least try to take advantage of. Like we're going to have to play a defensive game like the Lions played against the Patriots, and obviously Tom Brady's a lot less mobile than what Aaron Rodgers is, but that's got to be one of those things that I don't think Aaron Rodgers is at 100%. So the Lions are going to have to do something, to get after him, make him uncomfortable, have people, whizzing by his head, and, they're going to have to lock down that defense, a lot better than what they did, to keep him off the field.
You make a good point, Grifka. Like, to me, we already have the blueprint. Just try to replicate what you get against Tom Brady. Keep this idiot off the field. Keep him on the sideline with his stupid towel around his neck and his dumb hat on. And don't let him get out there and make plays, because if he gets out there, he's going to make those plays where he extends the play. He stands in the pocket all day. That we won't be able to get to him, for the most part. He'll run around, and he'll make some of those chunk plays that always kill us. So keep him on the sideline, rattle him in the pass rush when and if you can get there. And then, to me, like, they have some decent runners, but nobody that blows the top off. So just be solid, on your defensive game. Don't let any big rushes get out the gate. And I'm sure we'll get to it. But, hey, offense, just go win us this game, because, defense is still going to be tough regardless.
Well, you mentioned the running game, and we've talked about that, the Jets. Oh, they only have Bilal Powell and Isaiah Crowell, and nobody knew who the 49ers running back was until we played them. And, I mean, Zeke Elliott, that would have been hard anyways. And but do you think the Lions will have a better run defense this week, that some unknown guy, Tim Montgomery or whoever, isn't going to go off and, bust out 125 yards, and people are going to go like, hey, who's this guy? And all of a sudden, Green Bay comes up with some running back that nobody's ever heard of before, pull some dude out of the stands eating a bratwurst, and he bust off 150 against the Lions. So I think the run defense will be better this week.
I mean, it can't be much worse than it has been with some of the big plays we've given up, the big yardage totals, but I'm really worried. I mean, I just said they don't really blow you away, but, I mean, Aaron Jones just coming back. He's only been back 1 week, but he's a guy that scares me. What he does in the run game, I think he can catch it a little bit too, and he's one of those kind of explosive backs that I could see hitting a crease on us if we're not careful. Jamal Williams is just kind of like a grinder, a guy that can move the chains, can kind of make the simple play. So you got to prevent him from that. And like you said, Montgomery's more of a receiver turn running back that just kind of, you have to know where he's at. But, I mean, he hasn't been very consistent in any of the different ways they've tried to use him over the years. So, I mean, to me, that's not my biggest worry. To me, it's Devontae Adams, and it's, Geronimo Allison if he plays up over the top. And stupid Jim. I mean, I hate to keep refer to him as stupid, all these players. They just frustrate me so much. So Jimmy Graham, to me, he's killed us at different teams he's been on. To me, he always seems to sleepwalk until he plays the Lions, and then he throws up 110 and 2 touchdowns or something. So I think they're going to try to get him the ball, and we've never done well at covering tight ends. So it's another thing we're going to.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. The defense, it seems like the run defense can't get much worse than what it has been. But once again, I mean, Green Bay doesn't have like that, great of running backs. Nobody that like you're supposed to scare you. But it's one of those things where I think the Lions are going to need to put the defensive backs on the field to stop Aaron Rodgers and the guys you mentioned. I mean, Devontae Adams, Geronimo Allison. And I don't know who they're going to put on. Jimmy Graham. Everything in the preseason was that. Everything we heard was like this guy was going to be unstoppable in the red zone, and I think he has a couple touchdowns this year. But I mean, it's one of those things where you're not calling his name every week like it seemed like he did when he was with New Orleans. So. Obviously, some teams are scheming to stop him, and I don't know if that's just part of where the Packers are at right now. I think they have like an injury. I think Brian Bulaga, I don't know if he's on their offensive line again, but he's another one of those offensive linemen. It seems like he's always hurt for Green Bay, but still, they miraculously are able to keep Aaron Rodgers kind of upright, and the running backs are still serviceable. So, I mean, hopefully the run defense they don't have to commit 9 guys to the box to stop the run. Leaving a weaker defensive backfield back there for Aaron Rodgers just to pick apart. So something that, once again, I don't know if this will be the week that they shore it up, going into the bye week, but it has to. They're going to have to do that just to keep the defensive backs on the field to stop Aaron Rodgers. With that being said, though, I mean, stopping Aaron Rodgers, do you think the Lions' offense can score enough against the Packers' defense? I mean, the Packers' defense is decent. I mean, it's it's not like the steel curtain or anything, but still, I mean, they're a decent defense. I know they lost a big key in Wilkerson. I believe he's out for the year, but I think Clay Adams is playing with more of a chip on his shoulder now, and with all like these roughing the passer calls that he's getting. So, you think the Lions will be able to throw up enough points this week? At least keep their offense scoring. I know we talked about it the last podcast where they seemed a little stale and they only came alive when they really needed to. So. What do you envision this week out of the Lions offense?
So here's my thing with that. Like, leading up to this game, I've heard a lot of reports already of, there should be a shootout and Lions are coming home and Green Bay's defense isn't that good. They should be able to put up all these points. I feel like I'm hearing that a lot the last year or two, and then I'm not getting that result come the game. Like, it's said to be a shootout. It ends up being like, 17-13 or something. So I just don't know. To me, the NFL is a coin flip every game. You really have no idea not only who's going to win, what the heck's going to happen. But I feel that they should be able to put up points and move the football. But I'm going to put it on this offense and call them out to say, hey, rather than me thinking you're going to do it and all these experts saying, that Marvin should have a good day or Kenny Galladay is going to keep it up or, hey, we'll carry on some rushes and he'll turn it up again. Like, just go out and show me. Just go out and do it. Go out and put up 30 points and see if you can hold Aaron Rodgers to under 30 and win this game. Because this isn't a game I don't think we can win, but I'm really scared at a lot of different levels that it could go one way or the other. And I feel like the offense needs to step up. They have all these skill guys and they have this quarterback that's 10 years down the road. Like, just go out and win a football game. Like, I don't care how you do it. I don't care what it takes. But I know it's going to take at least 21, 28 points at a minimum to win this game. You're not going to hold Green Bay to, like, under 20. I guarantee you that. So go out and do it rather than talk about it. Go out and show me rather than me always hope that we're going to explode on offense. Because once we do it a few times, then I'll start to believe it more. But I think this is a game where Marvin could step up. I feel like as much as they've been saying they're not going to run carry on, I wouldn't be surprised to see him get 20 overall touches in this game. And like I say, Matt Stafford needs to crank up those numbers. I mean, 280 and 2 touchdowns isn't good enough. We need 350. I'm seeing a lot of quarterbacks throwing for 404. Go out and do it, number 9. Let's go.
So, like you said, getting carry on the touches, you actually think they'll use him more? It seems like people are starting to ask for it. He's obviously it seems like he's the best running back on the team at this point. Do you think they're going to, scheme him more, or do you think it's going to be more the same? It's just like, okay, Kerrion's got his, we got to get LeGarrette his, and, we have to get, Theo Riddick his. They have to space everything out to keep, Kerryon healthy for the whole season. Now, you think they'll scheme it where they actually use him more this week?
Yeah, we talked about it a lot previously. Like, I don't put much stock in what these coaches say because they don't say anything. So when they do say something, I either think it's more of a smokescreen or it's just they'll say one thing and then go do the other. So, like you say, they're getting pressure from the fans. I mean, they drafted this guy in the high to mid-second round. LeGarrette Blount's not doing anything dynamic that you can really justify. Well, hey, we can't not play him. Look at what he's doing. I mean, he hasn't – I don't think he's got in the end zone yet. He hasn't made any explosive plays. Maybe a 12, 15-yard rush is probably his best play of the year. So, I mean, everything points to this guy getting more touches, and when they see the production, like, they'll keep it up. What is what I'm both hoping and thinking a common sense type person would do. So I think, like, everybody will go into this game thinking they're going to spread it out and think they're going to, but I could see Kerryon getting, like I say, 20 overall. So maybe 16 rushes, 4 passes. And then I would love to just, keep LeGarrette Blount there for certain situations, but the ones that don't go to Kerryon, I haven't seen much of the explosive Theo Riddick that I like. I feel he has a couple plays, this year where they've split him out. He's done what he does, which is run a great route on a linebacker and catch an explosive play. Why we don't do that more? I mean, I watch so many games, Griffco, where a player just like Theo, like James White or Duke Johnson or these other guys that just basically catch the football, I mean, every once in a while, more than every once in a while, they're putting up numbers of like 80 yards receiving, 2 touchdowns, 100 yards receiving, and a few good runs because everybody thinks that all they're going to just catch it. Like those games a couple of years ago, and it feels like the last year and a half has just been, 2 catches, maybe 20-some yards, no touchdowns. Like, that's not good enough, especially once we gave him an extension. So any balls that aren't going to Kerryon need to go to number 25, and it needs to go to him in the pass game, and it needs to be those explosive plays that we're used to. And he even scored a few touchdowns. I think it was 2 years ago. I want to say he probably had 6, 7 touchdowns. Like, you should be able to use this guy in the red zone. So I'd love to turn the whole running passing game over to Kerryon, Theo. LeGarrette Blount will use you on certain little plays, but don't expect more than a handful of looks. And I think that's what will get this team over the top, is using those 2 skill guys and their 3 receivers to full force and not trying to spread it out as much. Just use them and reap the rewards. So that's what I'm hoping they do. But, I mean, you could say you don't see it, but I think that that's what they have to do to not only win this game, but to be more explosive on offense and to get what they are paying these guys, get what they have bought out of them, because spreading it around the way they are isn't going to get it done.
Yeah, I think it's time that they start to scheme more with Kerryon. I mean, it seems like every time he's on the field, like you said, it's one of those things I don't know. Like, if he can house every play, but he seems to at least get the moves to gain a few extra yards, as opposed to LeGarrette Blount. He'll make a move here or there, but I know we were talking about the stats earlier. How many yards per carry that Kerryon has as opposed to LeGarrette Blount. So I definitely think for this team to improve, to be better on offense, they have to definitely use Kerryon Johnson.
And real quick, like, LeGarrette Blount to me is not a bad player. I'm not upset he's on this team. Like, to me, when I was talking about Amir just being held there as like a, hey, we'll call you if we need you type of guy. Like, to me, that's almost what LeGarrette Blount needs to turn into. Like, hey, we love your leadership. We love your toughness. We love that you know the scheme. You support this coach. But just hang there, and we'll let you know. If somebody goes down, you'll be our feature guy. If we have a great situation that you do well, we'll put you in. But otherwise, support the young fella, coach him up. And, I mean, LeGarrette Blount's not playing for contracts anymore. He's not playing. He's already won some Super Bowls. So he needs to be that guy like Amir is on the inactives. LeGarrette Blount just needs to be active, would be the, hey, we'll get you if we need you, but if everybody stays healthy, we're heading in a different direction. So I don't know that that'll happen right away, but that's what needs to happen. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, with all that being said, I mean, we talked about this. I mean, it is a divisional game, and it is at home, and pretty much everybody on Lions Kool-Aid Cast knows what Green Bay is. And earlier said it's going to take more than 20 points to win this game. I mean, with that, what do you think this outcome is going to be for Detroit? What's your prediction?
Well, like you said, this is the Detroit Kool-Aid cast. I know a couple weeks ago, I think it was heading into the Patriots game, me and you, we came to prediction time. We thought it out and we explained it out, and we thought, just like every other pundit, I don't think they can get it done against the Patriots. And they came out and absolutely laid the wood to Tom Brady and Bill Belichick and company. So I think I learned from my mistake there, and you would think the people are probably saying, well, Oakley's probably going to pick Green Bay, and then the Lions will absolutely demolish them. But I'm going the other way, Griff, because this is the Detroit Kool-Aid cast, and yes, we haven't been playing good football. Aaron Rodgers is a complete jabron, and I hope that we just destroy him, not only on the field, but, like you say, that knee brace has a little bit of a target on it. I'm just going to drink the Kool-Aid and say that we come out, we play a good game, we shore up the defense just enough, the offense gets humming. I don't know if it's no huddle, I don't know what they do. I think they just throw it around the yard, when they can. I'd like to see maybe anywhere from 75 yards plus out of carry on and maybe a touchdown, 30-plus points. I'm calling this game I just said they got to prove it to me, but I'm going to put up 35 points for the Lions, and I say that good old Aaron Rodgers, your boy, is going to score 28 for the Packers. I put up some big scores and big predictions, but I feel like this is a game they know they have to get humming, and the defense isn't going to win it themselves. So 35 Lions, 28 Packers. Let's go. Let's get it. Put up a dub in Ford Field, have some life, go on the bye week, and then see what happens after that.
Wow. I mean, okay. Yeah. This is the Detroit Kool-Aid, and I know we've talked about this in the past. People. That sometimes you just got to be realistic of what your team is on the field, and like I said, I don't know about this defense. I mean, we were shredded by one superstar against the Cowboys, and the Green Bay Packers have a superstar of their own that seems to take a liking to beating the Detroit Lions. It's one of those things, like you said, the offense really needs to open up the playbook. They really need to go to page 2 and pull out some stops on this, because the offense is going to have to be the one to win this game. And like you said, it's going to be a shootout. There's no way they're going to hold the Packers to 10 or 13 points and win this a 14-13, 17-13 game. So yeah, they're going to have to throw up some points. So you're looking at a score probably like, I know in the preseason I picked this as a W, so I'm going to stick with it. And I'm going to say Lions 30, Packers 24. That'll be the score I go with right there. Even though I think even though the Packers are, I think, a 1-point favorite going into this weekend. So, but I'm going Lions 30-24.
Yes. Oh man, Griff guy, I basically tuned you out when you started to talk, because I thought you were going to go down the old Grifka trail where you were going to justify it and then tell the Kool-Aid drinkers why they were going to lose. And I just got to kick you off the show and all that stuff. But you came through for me with an incredible, surprising score. And we'll see if you keep that up on Sunday, or if after the first bad play, if you flip that score around.
Okay. Well, that's what I had to go with there. So let's keep going here.
2 W's from the Kool-Aid cast on this game. I love it.
So there's one thing I want to talk to you about. Another topic. It's Lions are a quarter of the way through the season, and coaches always talk about how you break up seasons by quarters. And after the first quarter, they're 1-3. And generally, I always read this, I always see stuff like this, that everybody starts to give out. You're at the quarter pole. You're going to hand out your grades for certain parts of the team, and I see some that seem to be very. They're very legit, and then some, it seems like the reporters are kind of they overgrade a little bit. I don't know, just to stay in the good graces of the team or not, but some's just like, gosh, are we watching the same team here? So I think tonight, after the first quarter's done, I want to get your thoughts on everything. I mean, this is just going to be a little quick. We don't have to do real in depth of why we feel that way, but I'm gonna break this down. I want to do first quarter grades of the Lions here. So, what do you think? What would you put Stafford at right now after the first quarter?
Oh man, Grifka's got me doing grades 4 games into the year, but I'll go along with you, Grifka. there's a lot of football left to be played. Let me say that first and foremost. But I mean, Matt Stafford after 4 games. Oh, I'm gonna try not to be too harsh here, but I mean, I'm gonna put him at like a B minus just because I mean I feel like his numbers have been good overall. He's protected the football decent, but he just hasn't been explosive or hasn't won enough. And again, it all comes down to winning for quarterbacks and for that position, fair or unfair. So I'm gonna go B minus for him. He's got to win more. Got to put up bigger numbers.
Yeah. What you're going to see with my grades, because I've been thinking about this, I'm going to grade a little tougher. So Stafford, I'm going to go a straight C. I mean, like you said, fair or unfair, the win-loss always seems to fall on the quarterback no matter what. So, Stafford's made some plays, but there's sometimes, that it seems like we're like kind of shaking our head or, wondering, well, who that pass is going to. So I'm just going to go a straight C with Matt Stafford so far, in the season.
Mm-hmm.
How do you think our running backs have been doing?
I mean, as a group, they're actually like better than we've had in the past. I mean, as far as both production and just the feel I get from them. I mean, I'll have that coming from Carry-On, who we talked about plenty. But I mean, I'd have to rate. They're kind of like a pleasant surprise. So I'd put them in the B minus category as well. Like better than expected, but not good enough, but a little bit better than average or what I've seen the last couple of years.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I was thinking probably like a B to B minus. Like you said, they're better than what we've had, but there's still a few things that they can improve on, do a little better. I mean, I'm not bashing on Carry-On, but once again, the numbers that we talk about, LeGarrette Blount, where he's at, Theo Riddick just doesn't seem to be as explosive as he has been in the past, but it seems like core-wise, they seem to be better than when we were, sitting on, Zach Zenner, everybody was pining for him, or Tion Green, so I'll give B minus. What do you think about
your boy Joik Bell?
Yeah,
Hold on, real quick though, on the running backs. Like the reason I give him a B minus too, it's with this caveat that like at least with Carry-On Johnson, and we've seen if they would use Theo in the pass game, it's the first time I felt like you could get up to the B plus or A minus category if they play the way that we all hope they will. And I've never felt like that before with our run game. I always felt like at the best case scenario, our run game was going to be, C level at best,
Yeah, I got
And now
you.
I feel like it has some good upside. So, I hope those guys can come through because I'd love to see that score even higher and sooner than later. So, got some potential, which is great.
Okay. What do you think about our pass catchers? I'm including tight ends in this as well. So what do you think about our tight ends and wide receivers?
I think they've been good. I mean, I'm going to go B plus there. I feel like, Galladay is getting a lot of love. I'd say I had such high expectations for him. He's been kind of at that A minus level. The other guys have all caught the ball when it's been thrown to him. Golden Tate has made more big plays than I remember in the past. I mean, he's always been consistent, but we're only 4 games in, and he seems to really make some big plays and some game changers. And I know that Marvin is going to come around here if given the opportunities. So I think overall they've been really good. The tight ends, I mean, to me, I would separate them because the tight ends have been pretty poor. That would bring down my grade quite a bit. They haven't been given many opportunities, and when they haven't, they haven't done much. What I did love, did you see Luke Wilson blocking some people in Dallas? Oh my! I thought the guy couldn't block a soul. He was really doing some work in the pass blocking or the run blocking game. So that was surprising to see. But I like the receivers, the tight ends not so much. I guess overall though, I'm going to stick with that above average B plus type of grade.
Yeah.
That they've done what they need to when the balls come their way.
Yeah, I like you said, if we're combining them like that, I did it this way on purpose. I would say like probably a B, getting close up to a B plus if the tight ends was just a little better. Like you said, I don't know if they're just not passing them to them or the guys aren't getting open or they just haven't been part of the scheme. But it seems like when the balls are thrown at them, they just a couple of them move the chains, but they haven't been anything really spectacular. Like I said, Galladay seems to be the breakout star. Golden Tate does what he does, and Marvin Jones. I think Marvin Jones has been a little more hit or miss. I know some of those some of those passes in San Francisco went over his head, so he really couldn't do anything with them. So, but like I said, since I'm putting them all in one bucket as pass catchers, I'm just going to go with straight B on these guys. How would you rate our offensive line so far this year?
Oh man, this is gonna be a C to C minus range for me. I mean, the numbers are there. Stafford hasn't been getting blown up, but I haven't loved their consistency. I know all their price tags, and I know they're very high. So like, there's a high expectation when it comes to, if you're making a lot of money and we put a lot of resources draft wise into you, I expect dominance. I expect, lots of, room in the run game, lots of time for Stafford to pick people apart. I mean, I bet you if you broke it down like PFF does, they've probably been, better than average. But to me, it's average or below just based on the expectation level for them.
Yeah, once again, I agree with you, and like I said, I'm a little harsh. I mean, I'm not ready to go D plus, but I'm in the C minus boat right here. Like you said, everything that we've invested in them, high first round draft picks, supposed to be proven commodities, and Rick Wagner and T.J. Lang, even though Lang's been hurt a little bit, it just doesn't seem like even so far this year we're not where everybody thought they'd be. So I'm going with the C minus right there for me. What do you think so far? Let's hop over to the other side of the ball. What do you think about the D line so far?
F.
Oh, that's good. I'm going along. So I'm just kidding.
They, overall, I mean, D-line we knew was going to be a huge issue. They haven't done anything really to, be better than we had hoped. I mean, Deshaun Hand is a kind of a pleasant surprise, but, I mean, he's not making explosive plays. He's just solid. Ricky Jean, same thing. Ziggy hasn't been out there, and we have a few sacks in regards to Kennard and whatnot, but I just haven't been impressed. So that's going to be like a D for me. Just, you knew it was going to be a D. It has been a D, and it just needs to be a better D for the D to be better.
Oh, good use of the word D there. Or
There you go.
Once again, I'm right there with you. I mean, nobody thought that this was going to be like the run stuffers, but it just seems like the D line has been not nearly as good as as we need them to be, even to be an average defense. I mean, everybody running on these guys. I know that's part of the defense as a whole, but it starts with that with the defensive line. So I'm looking at a D minus myself. So let's move on to the linebackers. What do you think about them?
F. I was kidding. Yeah, they've been pretty rough again. I mean, I like Kennard as a player. If you're going to put him as a linebacker, to me, he's more of a rush end. Jared Davis, I mean, I'm still higher. I know we've talked about a lot on this show and went a lot of back and forth, but like I still feel like I skew more towards being overall frustrated with Jared Davis in ways, but also more positive than most. I've heard a lot of people write him off. He's a backup. He's a cut player that should be cut. All this different stuff. Like to me, I mean, it's his second year in the league. He's having more struggles, but I see flashes. I see the speed. I see. I think he had a great tackle along the edge last game where he just flew over there and absolutely blew up the running back or whoever caught the screen pass or something. So I'm still high on the guy. I haven't seen much from Reeves Maben or, Christian Jones has been okay, but just kind of like a solid guy. So, I mean, I guess these guys are going to be C minus for me to be not too hard on them because, we invested a lot. I feel like there's been some flashes, but no splash plays and no – be better for that whole group.
Yeah, I'm going with. I mean, Kennard's been good. He's been a surprise, and like you said, Davis, does some things where he tracks the ball okay, and it seems like Christian Jones is never anywhere to be found, and Reeves Maben really hasn't made any plays. But gosh, some of the stuff that Davis does just. Gosh, how he misses tackles and takes bad angles, and he still struggles in pass coverage. Gosh, I mean, I don't want to put too much weight on what Kennard's done so far, but I'm thinking like what we've invested. Gosh, I'm looking at a D plus on these guys. Mm-hmm. I mean, like I said, I tend to grade a little harder, but That's what I'm looking at.
Yeah.
What are you thinking about our defensive backfield?
Corners and safeties. Again, to me, with that position, it all comes down to. You always heard me and you fight about Darius Slay. But he doesn't make big plays. And then like that same year, the year or two after, he started coming up with interceptions and touchdowns and all types of things that changed games. So to me, the DBs and the safeties aren't they're turning the football over or making plays that help us win games. And I just feel like they've been okay. So I mean, what was it? We were like ranked number 1 in passing, last in rushing. So again, stat wise, they've been great. But I think, overall, I would just say that they've been, C plus, B minus. Nothing special.
Okay, I gotcha. Like I said, that ranking, with us, they were like really high in the past, but I think it was one of those things like teams didn't have to pass on the lines and because the run defense was so bad. So that's one of those. I think the numbers lied a little bit there, but still, I mean, like you said, they don't seem to be coming up with like the interceptions, no forced fumbles or anything. When a guy's like stood up and the defensive back comes in and punches the ball out, something like that. But still, I mean, where their numbers were in the pass defense, that does have to say a little something. So. I'll go with B minus with these guys. I don't know, maybe like you said, maybe I'm skewing a little more because I like Slay so much, but still, I mean that number means something. I have to put them in there. I know they haven't done a whole lot this year. I was really debating on even grading this, but what do you think about the special teams?
Yeah, I don't know. To me, it's just short and sweet. I mean, the NFL has changed the game so much that I don't feel these kick returners, punt returners impact the game very much. Specialists. I feel like Sam Martin has like had a downturn. I don't know why, but he doesn't seem to even. All these other teams get the ball in the end zone, and he hasn't been punting as good as I remember. So, Prater's solid. Agnew's great if he ever gets an opportunity, but he doesn't really get many opportunities. So. They're just middle of the road C. Who cares to me? Like they don't make any plays. When we have made plays, they get called back because of stupid penalties. So it's just their special teams. Everybody acts like it's this big part of the game, but to me, it's been minimalized or minimized by the NFL. And I feel like you only get the punt game. Yeah, there's some field position, but other than that, there's not much to say about it. It's touchback every time. There's not many explosive punt returners anymore, so they are what they are. They're just okay.
Yeah, they're there, and I would say I would go somewhere like C minus D plus. So because like you said it, when it seemed like we do have a big play, it's called back with like a block in the back or a hold or something like that. So it seems like no matter when there's a kick return or a punt, I'm just always looking for the flag, the little flag symbol to jump up on the bottom of the line, when the lines bust off a pretty decent run. So that's what it seems like I'm always looking at. So. But I think it's really hurting. Like you said, Sam Martin, I don't know what's happened to this guy, but, like I said, I'm looking C minus D plus for special teams. And
we gotta get Prater too some more field goal opportunities. If we're not going to score touchdowns, he should at least have more field goal opportunities than I feel like he's had this year. He used to be a weapon. Now I feel like he hasn't had many chances. So he's one of our better scoring players, to be honest.
So in the last one, what are you thinking about these new coaching staff so far? What grade would you give them so far? And we're talking like scheme-wise, adjustment-wise, things like that.
Oh man, I'm gonna stay in the camp of Matt Pat. I mean, everybody's down on him. I was listening to something today, or saw somebody say, "Oh, if they don't win in Green Bay, you got to think about coaching changes." I'm like, really? Or against Green Bay, you got to maybe change the coach. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is craziness. Like they haven't been good, but I mean, it's such a small sample size. They're trying to get their own players and scheme and all that. So I feel the head coaching is going to be fine in the long run. If you want to consider these coordinators, replacing at some point in the next year or so, I'm fine with that. I mean, I feel that Jim Bob, if he doesn't turn it around, has shown his cards of he's okay, but he's not going to do anything special. I hope he wins Super Bowls. And Pasqualoni, to me, is just a guy that, I mean, he's like a good old football coach, but he's not a dynamic defensive mind like the McVays and these new guys that are out there really changing the game. So overall, the coaches are fine with me. You know, they're a B- in my book, but if you want to boot some of these coordinators, if they're D pluses for the rest of the year, then sure, you know, try to get better in that position. But, you know, give this coaching staff time. I just hate these people with these instant reactions. I mean, 3-4 games, come on.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm going right now. I mean, I know it's like a 1-3. They're 1-3 right now. So, like you said, I've heard that too, where a lot of people are saying, you know, it's time to like, oh, was this the right thing? Make a change. But, you know, you like Bill Parcells said, you know, you are what your record says you are. So, I'm gonna go with a C right now. I mean, still, you know, new head coach, learn on the fly. I know it was like Bobby Quinn's handpicked guy. He was supposed to, you know, trying to bring, you know, like you said, trying to change their mentality is the big thing. You know, from the, I know you spoke about this before. You know, the Detroit Lions, you know, country club to, you know, like we're gonna put the work in. We're gonna work hard. So, but still, I'm just gonna go with a C with them so far. I know probably after, you know, at the midway point, we will probably be doing this again. Maybe our grades will change some, but right now I'm just going to stick with a C for the coaches.
But when you say you are what your record are, like our record is an F to a D, right? D- right now. But I think, you know, like you got to look at some of the silver linings, and you have to give things time, just like we do with rookies. Like you can't grade a rookie after 2-3 games. You have to give them time. So give the coaches time, and then some of the other positions you went over are guys we've seen for a while now. So it's easier not only to grade them harsher, but to know what they are. I mean, you really don't know what this whole staff scheme and program is going to look like over the next 2 years. I'd say 2 to 3 years to really have a handle on, you know, is Matt Pat a top coach, or is he a washout? But I'm not going to do it in year 1 or even early in year 2.
Okay. Okay, there we go. We got the coaches there. There's actually, I was sitting back thinking about a couple other things, and
what's your overall grade for the team, Grifka, like as a whole right now?
C-.
Yeah. As an overall team, just because of their record and how they played, I'd have to say it's a C-, even D+. I would go just because of not only the expectations, but just how sloppy and bad they've been from preseason to now.
Yeah, because I think, to be honest with you, I think when we were doing our preseason picks of the season, I think we both had them at 3-1 right now going into the Green Bay game. You know, so and they're 1-3. So you're right. I mean, C-, and when you said D+, I'm like, yeah, I can see that, and I could almost agree with you on that. You know, I could see that as well.
You got to agree with me, Griff, because that's part of the show.
It sounds stupid, but that Jets game is just leaving that's leaving a bad taste in my mouth, and that one's going to be a hard one to overcome, for considering what we've seen the Jets, you know, what they are since then. But
it was terrible, and like you say, overall this season they just haven't been good. But a few plays here or there, and they're either 2-2 or even 3-1. So you know, that's the NFL.
Yep. So once again, just kind of wrapping up, you know, our first quarter, you know, going into the Green Bay game. I know we both picked Lions winning the Green Bay, but we're at 1-3. So there's a couple questions I want to ask you at this point, you know, to see exactly how you feel. And do you think this Green Bay game is a must-win game?
I definitely do, and it's weird because, again, I'm usually the guy that wants to see the long-term picture and, hey, calm down. But to me, I mean, 1-4 versus 2-3 is such a difference in the NFL. It's like feels like a totally different situation from top to bottom. So I feel, yes, not only do they have to win this game for the coach, for themselves, for the home. Again, NFL, when you're playing at home, you basically got to take care of home. So I think it's a must-win from that scenario. Again, it's a division game. Those usually everybody says they count for 2. They are more important, so it's a must-win in that area. But to me, this is just a must-win because if it's a loss, I mean, you're looking at not much to play for. I mean, I don't see many teams go from 1-4 to getting back in the mix. You know, 1-4 usually would mean, all right, are we going to win 4 games or 6 games? Because that's going to be the top. And I don't want to see us get there right now. So yes, must win, gotta have it. That's why I think, and why I predicted they will, because yeah, it's a must win in my book.
Yeah, I'm there with you. This is a must win. If not, it's a it's going to be that long season that we're all kind of dreading. Once again, I know we had talked about this and we kind of argued about it, on a prior podcast that, Matt Pat was brought in to be like to take the team to the next level and not, take steps back. They were a game out of the playoffs last year. He was supposed to take us into the playoffs. And I don't know. They go, like you said, they go 1-4. At this point, it's just like, all you're going to hear is like, oh, well, we should lose to get the better draft pick. It's just like you're 5 games into 16 and you're already, oh, who should we take at the draft? So, yeah, this is a must-win game. If not, the wheels could fall off here really, really quick, and you're going to have a lot of, fans that just don't care again. A lot of apathy for another fall wasted on Detroit Lions football, where a lot of Lions fans had a lot of promise going into that.
Grifka, hold on, I got to tell you something funny. So, so I want to get this out there too, because you remember before the season started, I had posed a question to you and the Big Hughes about, what if they were to win 6 games or less? Would the sky be falling, or would you understand that things are getting in place, or that, we expect to be better, but I didn't know that we'd be better with the snap of the fingers. So you guys said, it would be worst case scenario. I couldn't deal with it. I was kind of like, hey, I'm expecting, 8-10 wins, but I could see a tough year. So, like I say, if that does come to fruition, I'll be able to deal with it probably better than you two will. But my other point I wanted just to add is, like, when you say people looking at the draft pick, like, let's say this season does go south, like, over the next, 6 games, and it's just really rough. I think there is, I'm such a big fan of the draft. I think there is something to be said about not losing on purpose, not tanking, but, like, knowing that, yes, a top pick, if you're going to be bad, is much better than being 6-7 wins and being in the middle of the first round. Especially this year, like I laughed out loud today. Mike Valeni was talking about it, and he goes, yeah, like right now you'd be picking 2. Like if you didn't do good the rest of the year, yes, I'd much rather have a top 3 or 4 pick than, in the 20s. And he goes, because then I could select Ed Oliver in the pony, and he could ride his pony named Coco. and I didn't know if Ed Oliver really does have a pony named Coco, or if he was just saying he'd come off the edge with like he was riding a pony named Coco. I didn't know what he was going for, but I thought it was. If that ever came to fruition and we got him and he had a pony named Coco, that'd be awesome. But I mean, there's some game changers up at the top of this draft on the defensive line and a few other spots that could really help us. So, I'm not rooting for those situations, but I'm saying, like, if we get there, that is both a silver lining, and yes, the draft can change your whole team with 1 or 2 top picks if you do have a bad season. That's why the NFL is so even, and that's why, yes, if you're going to be bad, you might as well be really bad, because you can get one of those top guys, and that'll change your whole next season. So I just want to get that out there, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah. So you touched on this a little earlier, but I want to make sure we got this right. So if they don't win and the team looks bad again, do you think the Lions make any changes with anything? I'm not talking Matt Pat, come the bye week afterwards.
No, I'm never a fan in the NFL of, the only time I loved it is when Martha came in and got rid of all the buffoons that had been here through all the losing, and finally got rid of Tom Lawand and, who was it, like Lombardi, when they got rid of him. I felt like the writing was on the wall, but I'm not a proponent of getting rid of people like Mizzen, or when things aren't, like, we were at week 10 or 12 and that was our bye week and we had been garbage for the beginning of that whole beginning of the year, maybe, but not when you have an earlier bye and not when it's not really terrible yet. So no way. I mean, worst case, if it really went bad this year, you just kind of ride out the season, and next year you look for a really dynamic defensive coordinator or you let Matt Pat call the defense. I know he doesn't want to do that, but that could be something they can consider. And then if the offense doesn't get it going, then yeah, you got to move on from Jim Bob at the end of the season, but not right now.
Yeah, I'm once again. I know you want me to disagree with you and say, yeah, fire them all and can them and bring in other things, but that doesn't benefit anything. Like you said, it's an early bye. It's like still getting your feet, you're still learning, trying to change the culture, and I don't think you're really changing the culture all of a sudden. Green Bay comes in and just rolls you up, and you decide to just clean house, and and that doesn't really benefit this team at all. And I think it actually takes you a couple more steps back than anything. But I think the one coordinator, I mean, you mentioned Pasqualoni, but we talked about it, earlier in this podcast. I think the coordinator we really got to watch would be like that special teams coordinator. So, I mean, like you said, we haven't given Prater a whole lot, and that's not, that's on the offense or the defensive side, but a lot of dumb penalties on kick returns and punt returns and, stuff like that. And it's really hurting. So that would be the guy I would say if there was any chance he would be the guy, would be the special teams coordinator.
Grifka, please tell me you know it. The legendary Lions special teams coordinator for years and years when I was just becoming a fan. You got to know the name.
Isn't it Stan Kwan?
Stan Kwan. Oh, man, he was here forever.
Oh, wait, but my favorite.
I don't know why I ever knew his name, but
Stan
Kwan.
We're talking about special teams coordinators here, and I always say it. Some teams are favored. Everybody knows who Joe Avisano is. Oh, he was a special teams coordinator for the Cowboys. Why? Because anytime, it would be like a kickoff, they would show Joe Avisano like he does something special. I mean, the guy he'd always look like so mad too. Like it'd be like the it's a touchback, and they would flash to Joe Avisano, and he'd look just totally angry, because the guy on the outside didn't sprint all the way down and touch the end zone or something. I don't know, but everybody knew who Joe Avisano was. He was the Cowboys special teams coordinator because he was shown at least 10 times every Cowboys game. But he was no Stan Kwan, but Joe Avisano did have a good haircut. It was that slick back white hair with and he just always looked so angry.
Yeah,
okay,
I'm just glad you got in a rant about the Cowboys, the Steelers, the Giants. How they get preferential treatment. I tried to set you up last show for that, and you didn't go for it.
Sorry, I'm still disappointed after losing a game that was very winnable. Okay, and the last one, wrapping up our first quarter of the season. Who would you call your biggest surprise and your biggest bust so far this year? No, you don't need to have an offensive defense one. You can just pick this as a whole. It's like biggest offense surprise, biggest defense surprise. You don't need to do that. Just who do you think the biggest surprise is on the team, and who do you think the biggest bust is so far on the team?
Huh. Yeah, that's tough. I guess let me start with, I guess how do I define surprise too? Man, I guess a bust for me, I'll just start there, unfortunately, has got to be Tease Tabor. I know he's a second rounder. I didn't love the pick, but I remember talking him up this year going, hey, man, if he could be the opposite next to Slay, I mean, this guy can barely find the field anymore. And all the stuff was about his instincts and his football IQ. I mean, he hasn't jumped any routes I've seen. He hasn't done anything impactful. So Tabor would be my bust or disappointment. And I guess biggest surprise, even though he's not a surprise for me, but he's for everybody else, is I think what Kenny Golladay has done consistently, game in, game out, has been a nice surprise. In the league, I mean, we're totally looking at our receiving core differently just because this guy has played so well. I remember people today were even saying, "Hey, I see him as a number one." One guy even went as far as to say, Kenny Golladay, I think, could be a top 5 receiver in the NFL in the next few years. I mean, this was not a caller of a radio show. This was a, person, either a radio host or an expert per se. So that surprised me. But, I mean, I think Kenny G would be the pleasant surprise / expectations exceeded type of guy.
I see both your answers there.
So you agree with me?
Well, I mean, I agree with some of them, but I got a couple different guys. I mean, my biggest surprise so far this year would probably have to be Kennard, to be honest with you. I know he was the major signing of the team, and I know a lot of people were kind of bashing what he did last year in stats. We're basing our whole defense on this guy who had 4 sacks and blah, blah, blah. I mean, I think he's played very, very well for the defense that has been much maligned this year. I would definitely go with Devin Kennard so far as the biggest surprise.
That's a good one.
Yeah, as for the biggest bust, Gosh, I would have to lump it as a whole and say the Lions tight ends. I don't know what they were expecting. I mean, my strong dislike for Eric Ebron, and it seems like we could almost plug anybody else in there and do it, but I guess I was just expecting a little more out of these guys. Like we had talked, man, just some chain movers, things like that, but blocking wise, catching the ball wise, it's just, it seems like these passes that the tight ends are catching right now are nothing of significance. They just seem to be the outlet. You understand what I'm saying? It's just like Stafford's in trouble and like the tight end's just standing there. So, okay, I'll throw it to him because he's an eligible wide receiver. It seems like that's what they're getting. There's no routes, and the two plays where Stafford tried to get it to a tight end, it seemed meant for him. They were both interceptions. One against the Jets and one against the Patriots. So I would have to say the tight ends so far have been the biggest bust to me. So those would be my things.
Yeah, those are two good ones. Before we get out of here, just as I thought about it a bit more, some other ones that came to mind. We got to chalk up Ashawn pretty much as a bust so far, just what we were hoping. Deshaun Hand is a that I didn't think of as far as what he's brought to the table. And then, we got to put Davis sort of in that bust category, and I think you hit it with Kennard as a nice surprise in that linebacking core. So, we'll see what happens, but I thought it was a good question. And, again, we don't want to grade everything too early, but let's see how it plays out. But I'm glad we got through the grades and gave some surprise and busts. So hopefully those guys will turn it around. We definitely need everybody to play better. That's the bottom line for this team.
Yeah, so that's where we're at the quarter pole going into the Green Bay game. So what do you think? What do you think about getting out of here, Derek?
Yep, it's about that time, Grifka. And it's crazy. I can't believe we're at week 5 of the NFL season. We wait so long for it to come, and then I feel like it comes and it's flying by already. It hasn't gone how we wanted. But again, it's only a quarter of the way through the season. We've got 3 quarters left. And I'm thinking that if we can get this win on Sunday, we can start playing some more explosive football on both sides of the ball with more mojo, as we've talked about on these shows. And there's no reason that we can't beat the Packers and then, pick and choose our wins moving forward, meaning some games we'll win, some games we still won't look so good. I don't know that we have the most consistent team right now, but I think there are definitely games where they can win when they shouldn't win, or win games at home, and then there's going to be tough games on their schedule that are just going to be ones that are going to be, hard to get this year with all the changeovers. So, Grifka, with that being said, man, like we said, we threw out our predictions. Let's go get this W, whatever it takes. Offense, let's light up that scoreboard. Defense, play solid, and let's win this game. So, Detroit Kool-Aid, hit that subscribe button, share this with a friend, drink that tall glass of Honolulu Blue Kool-Aid this Sunday at 1 p.m. as we kick it off against the Green Bay Packers, and let's show Aaron Rodgers whose town this is, and let's get a W in Ford Field. So, Grifka, we're going to get out of here. Everybody, thank you so much for listening. We'll talk to you soon. Peace.
This Sunday, I'm going to give you what you crave, what everybody here craves. Drink it in, man.